Hi, this is Jacqueline at Bilingual FM. I just finished a group talk with a small group today. It's February 22nd, 2011. The topic of our session today was current news and events, so maybe international or world news. So in talking about this topic, we touched on the uprisings in northern Africa and the Middle East that are happening at this moment. So, for example, in Tunisia and Egypt and Yemen and now in Libya, as well as places in the Middle East like Iran. So, while talking about this topic, we talked a lot about religion and culture and the differences between my own culture and Japanese culture and the cultures that are in the news right now. So the first word that we learned in this discussion was the verb to browse. So we were talking about reading the news in the newspaper, and similar to read is to browse. It means to look quickly at something without looking at, if you're reading, it means to read something quickly without looking at all the words. You're just browsing it to see if you see anything interesting. And then if you see something interesting, maybe you look more, so you read the full story. It doesn't have to be for reading to browse. It can be when you're shopping, for example. You're browsing through the clothing, you're browsing through the different shoes, so you're not really looking that hard, you're just glancing or browsing at things. So in an example sentence, in the mornings I like to browse through the newspaper, but I don't have time to read everything. Or in another sentence, I like to browse through the shops on Omotesando. So maybe I'm not serious about shopping and I don't look at everything, I just browse. And then the next group of words that we learned were each adjectives, and they all kind of come as a set. So in speaking about news reporting and the news, we learned the three adjectives: biased, objective, and neutral. So if a person is biased, it means that they have an opinion, or they show an opinion, or they tell stories based on emotions or background or religious beliefs, for example, rather than on reason or facts. So in an example sentence, the author of the book about Judaism and Islam, so about two different religions, the author was very biased because he is a Muslim, so he follows one of these religions. So his view is not neutral. The next word was objective. So if a person is objective, it means they base their opinion or their views on reason and facts rather than emotion. So often in religions, for example, if I'm a Christian, I'm looking at issues with another religion, for example, Islam. So my opinion of Islam is not based on my emotions or my religious beliefs, it's just based on the facts. So it's reason or facts and not on emotion or personal beliefs. And then the last word was neutral. And neutral is a person with no opinion of something. Maybe this is because they don't have enough information about it, or they choose not to pick a right or wrong, who's right or wrong, they're just in the middle. So for the word objective, I have a sentence, and it's combined also with the word neutral. So a news reporter, a person who writes the news should be completely objective when writing their stories. So they shouldn't show emotion or opinion, they should just tell the facts. And so they should be neutral and not show opinion or emotion. So just neutral, just saying the facts. The next noun that we learned was an alternative. So an alternative is like a different option or another choice. So this came up because I said I read the news on CNN.com, and I don't think CNN is the best news because sometimes they're biased, but I don't know any good alternatives, so I don't know any other good options. So I read the news on CNN.com, but I don't really like it. Do you know of any alternatives? And the student said you could try BBC.com, so this is an alternative. Or in a lighter situation, for dessert, we have chocolate cake, chocolate cookies, and chocolate mousse. And you say, but I don't like chocolate. Do you have an alternative? So a different option. And the next word is critical. So actually critical in different situations has different meanings. But in talking about listening to the news or reading the news, we should be critical. So critical is reading or listening to the news, but not necessarily believing that everything is true. There's a possibility that it's not accurate or not completely right, and sometimes it's biased or sometimes it's not true, even the news. So if we're critical of the news and news stories, this means that we read it, we understand it, but we don't necessarily believe everything. We just understand that it could be not all there. So in a full sentence, I need to be critical when reading the news because sometimes the news reporters do not know all the details or facts or completely understand the situation that they are writing about or talking about. And the last verb that we learned was to ban. And to ban is the same as to prohibit or to not allow. So this means maybe a government bans certain things. So, or your parents ban something from their children. So in an example, Muslim women are banned from showing their ankles and shoulders. So they're not allowed to show their ankles or shoulders, or maybe also their hair, for example. So they're banned from doing that. In another lighter example, my parents banned me from listening to heavy metal music. So this loud and angry music, my parents banned me from listening to it, so I'm not allowed. Okay, so those are some pretty heavy-duty words that we learned today, but they're all really important. And really important if you are following the news and if you're following the news in English, I suppose. So they're all pretty good words to understand. Alright, so that's everything. Thank you.